Hey gang, welcome to the channel. My name's Andy. Alright, you know what? I've had a lot of messages, a lot of comments, a lot of DMs from people saying to me, hey, tell me about your suspension setup. Andy, why don't you make a video about your suspension setup? So today, that's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna tell you everything you need to know about the KWV3s. And, you know, yeah, okay, to be fair, that's probably an oversell. I'm not gonna tell you everything you need to know, but I'll give you my thoughts on the KWV3s and how they perform on a 964 C4. So we're going to do a road test. I'm going to tell you about my particular setup and stick around to the end because I'm going to compare them with the Bilstein PSS10s. I've actually run both on this car and they're a similar price point. A lot of people look for comparisons on forums, so this is where I'm going to tell you which is my preferred option and why. Now before we do, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below so you don't miss any of the content I've got coming up. I'm driving some great air-cooled cars, some water-cooled cars, drive days, it's all coming up soon, so hit the subscription so you don't miss out. Alright, let's roll that intro. Okay, so first we're going to talk about setup and the setup that I've got in my car. Now a lot of people talking about when you do an upgrade to coilovers that you should also upgrade bushings and do all of that stuff. I can actually say that with mine, all I've done is the coilovers themselves. I've got a strut brace and that's about it. Now critical for me was finding a balance between having the stance I wanted, but also having a car that I can hit the twisties, hit G-outs and all sorts of stuff, and actually have enough travel that I'm not bottoming the car out. We drive our cars hard and it's got to perform that duty. So, on the rear, the ride height is 628 millimeters. I've got 10 clicks of compression damping and an extra 3 clicks from factory on the rebound damping as well. On the front, the ride height is 640 millimeters. We've got 6 clicks of compression damping and 10 clicks of rebound damping. All right, enough talking about it. Let's get in and go for a drive. So the first thing I want to talk about is comfort. You know, a lot of people fit coilovers and their thinking is, all right, let's make my car as stiff as I can. It's got to be stiff. But actually, I don't think you want that. I use my car a lot and I don't just use it to go tearing around the hills. I actually daily drive it sometimes. I take my kids in it. I use it to run errands. So for me, I want the car to be comfortable. But that actually has an impact on performance too. If you don't have compliance in your suspension, then what happens is when you're driving through the hills and you're tearing around the twisties, if you come across an uneven piece of pavement or patchy asphalt, then what that does is if you're mid-corner or you're on the brakes, it actually unsettles the car. When that happens, you lose grip. With the KWs, you have a separate control for the compression damping and the rebound damping. Because the KWV3s are tuned and valved specifically for the car you buy them for, so in this instance for the 964, straight out of the box they were really quite good, but they did require a bit of additional rebound damping because they did just feel a bit bouncy out of the box. But that actually then brings me to the performance of them, because it's when you're in the twisties that you really do feel the difference that these make. Obviously running the car lower, you've got that lower center of gravity, and that's terrific in terms of the car's handling and its stability around corners. But it's the way the car sits flat through the corners that really is the difference that you notice, because that inspires a lot of confidence. You're coming through a corner, and whether it's high speed or a lower speed corner, if the car's not pitching and rolling, if the behavior of the car feels predictable, then you know what it's doing and you feel confident in the car because you're not getting surprises. You're not feeling like the car's not doing the things you anticipate it to do. If you're coming through a fast section that ends with a tight, say, second gear corner, and you have to jump on the brakes as you come into that corner, you don't get that diving of the car under braking that makes the rear feel unsettled. You don't have those things happening. So again, you just have this level of confidence that comes with the car feeling settled. And that's probably the most important thing I can say about the switch over to the KW V3s for me, is just feeling this real sense of predictability in what the car is going to do. There are just no surprises in the handling, and that includes when you are cornering and the pavement changes, the surface changes, you get patchy asphalt. It doesn't upset or unsettle the car, and it means you can just focus on enjoying the drive, and that's the most important thing. I mean, for me, that's why I bought the car. All right, now I said at the beginning that I'd do a comparison between the Bilstein PSS10s and the KWs because I've run both on the car. So I got the car and it had the stock suspension, and I changed it for PSS10s. On good pavement, on smooth asphalt, they actually felt really, really good. However, once you got to patchy asphalt, once you got to changing surfaces and poor surfaces, they felt easily unsettled and they felt crashy, and the car would sort of skip around and just felt unsettled. I did everything I could to mitigate that, to tweak the setup. We tried different ride heights, different compression settings, even changed out the springs to a softer spring, but could just never get it to a place that I was happy. And it was at that point that I made the switch to the KWs. Now, it's not a night and day difference. It's not like the KWs were a revelation, because the PSS10s are pretty good. But the way the KWs handle the poor surfaces that we have to drive most of the time when we're in the hills, there was just more sophistication to the damping. Like I said before, the car felt more settled, more predictable, and just able to handle those bumps better and easier than it had with the PSS10s. Now, to be fair to the PSS10s, I'll say that they, one area where they had it on the KWs was that the compression adjustment dial was far easier to reach than it is on the KWs, and the tactile feel of it, the way it turned, the clicks were all far more obvious than they are in the V3s. On the other hand, the height adjustment with the PSS10s was a genuine ball ache, versus in the KW V3s, very, very simple to make that adjustment and fine tune it. It's, absolutely fine. Now, guys, that's my experience with this particular car. I know people who run PSS10s on C2s and love them. I've driven a 993 on PSS10s and thought it felt fantastic. So, take it with a grain of salt. I'm certainly not saying they're bad. I'm just saying that for me, for my money, I feel the ride quality on the KWs really is the difference that makes the difference, and it's why I'm sticking with them on my car. Anyway, I think that's it. I think I covered everything I said I was going to cover. Not everything you need to know about the KW V3s, obviously, but enough that if you're considering coilovers for your 964, that maybe this is a little bit of information that'll help with that decision-making process. Thank you so much for watching. Thanks for spending some time with me. I genuinely appreciate it. Hit that like button. Please leave me a comment if you've got other questions about my car. I'd love to hear them. Hit the subscribe button, hit the notification button, and I'll see you guys on the next one.